There comes a time in every life when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the questions echo louder than the answers, when the dreams you once chased feel like shadows slipping through your fingers. Maybe you've been there. Maybe you're there right now. You look around and life seems unfair. The struggles feel relentless. The pain feels personal. And deep down, you wonder, is this all there is? But listen to me. There is a road to peace, a road to freedom, a road to a life of joy. Not the fleeting happiness the world sells, but the kind of joy that no storm can shake. But first, you must face the truth. Not the easy truths, not the comfortable ones, but the harsh truths. The ones that break you before they build you. The ones that hurt before they heal. Because you cannot heal what you refuse to see. You cannot change what you will not confront. And today, I want to tell you about 7 truths that will set you free. They won't be easy to hear, but they are the foundation of a life worth living. Now listen carefully. Let these words sink into your soul. If you remember nothing else, remember this. This might be hard to hear, but you need to hear it. Brace yourself, because this is the truth. Write this on your heart. Don't turn away from this. It could change your life. Life will never be fair, but it will always be an opportunity. These are the words that many refuse to accept, yet they are the foundation of true strength. From the moment we take our first breath, we are placed into a world that does not promise fairness, does not guarantee ease, and does not offer explanations for why some suffer more than others. The child born into wealth and privilege will never know the hunger of the orphan abandoned on the streets. The man who rises to power through deceit may never taste the same struggle as the one who spends his life in honest labor. It is an undeniable reality. Life does not distribute burdens equally, nor does it promise justice on our terms. And yet, in this very unfairness, there lies an opportunity so great that most never see it. People spend their lives waiting for the world to make sense, for circumstances to shift in their favor, for fairness to finally arrive like a long overdue letter in the mail. But that day never comes. Because fairness is not the law of this world. Opportunity is. The man who loses everything and still finds a way forward understands this. The woman betrayed, abandoned, left with nothing but her will to survive, she understands this. The people who rise from the ashes of their pain do not do so because the world suddenly decided to be fair to them. They do so because they chose to see the opportunity hidden within their suffering. But how many people waste their lives waiting for fairness instead of searching for opportunity? How many sit in bitterness, cursing the hands they were dealt, while others with less turn those same hands into something greater? The man who blames his upbringing, his circumstances, his misfortunes, he will never move forward because he is waiting for fairness to set him free. But fairness is a mirage, an illusion that will always stay just out of reach. What he does not see is that in the midst of his suffering, in the heart of his pain, there is an open door. But it is a door that only those with eyes to see will ever walk through. Look at history. Look at the men and women who shaped the world, the ones we remember. Were their lives fair? Was Martin Luther King Jr. treated fairly when he stood for justice? Was Nelson Mandela given fairness when he spent 27 years behind bars for believing in equality? Was Mother Teresa given a life of ease and comfort? No. They were not handed fairness, but they found opportunity in the midst of their struggle. They understood that life's injustices were not meant to break them, but to shape them into something greater. And what about you? How much time have you spent waiting for an apology that may never come? How many years have you wasted wishing for a second chance, for a different beginning, for fairness to finally make things right? You could spend your whole life waiting for the world to be fair, but you would die waiting. Or you could decide right now that fairness is not your concern. Your concern is finding the opportunity that others overlook. Because opportunity is always there. It does not come wrapped in comfort or dressed in ease. It is often hidden in hardship, disguised as struggle, buried beneath pain. The man who loses his job and sees it as a chance to rebuild his life is the one who will rise again. The woman who faces betrayal and uses it to discover her own strength is the one who will walk in power. But those who refuse to see the opportunity in their suffering will forever be prisoners of their pain. Some of the most successful, influential, and inspiring people in history were not given a fair start. They were not handed comfort or privilege. They were not given the best education, the easiest path, the smoothest road. They fought for everything they had. And in that fight, they found something more valuable than fairness. They found resilience. They found purpose. They found the ability to stand when everything around them was trying to push them down. And that is why they succeeded. Not because the world was fair to them, but because they refused to let its unfairness stop them. You must decide what kind of person you will be. Will you be the one who sits in the darkness, waiting for the world to hand you what you believe you deserve? Or will you be the one who rises, who takes what life has given and turns it into something powerful? Will you be the person who complains about the unfairness of life? Or the one who proves that even in the most unjust circumstances, greatness is still possible? Fairness will never be guaranteed. Justice in this world will never be perfect. But opportunity will always exist for those who are willing to see it. And that is what separates those who live with purpose from those who die with regret. The choice is yours. Happiness is not found in people or things, it's found in how you see them. This truth is one of the hardest lessons to accept because the world has spent generations convincing us otherwise. From the moment we are old enough to understand desire, we are taught that happiness is something to be chased, something to be earned, something that exists outside of us. We are told that if we just have the right people around us, the right circumstances, the right possessions, then we will finally be happy. And so we spend our lives running after happiness, grasping at it like a shadow that always seems just out of reach. Look at the world around you. People accumulate wealth, power, success, and yet they remain empty. Celebrities with fortunes most could only dream of fall into depression. Millionaires with mansions still lie awake at night, restless and searching. Relationships that once seemed perfect fall apart, leaving people broken and bitter. Why? Because happiness was never in those things to begin with. The new car, the expensive home, the perfect partner. None of these can give you something that does not already exist within you. But still, people chase. They believe that if they could just find the right person, everything would fall into place. They tell themselves that happiness is waiting in the arms of someone who will love them unconditionally, someone who will never let them down. And yet, how many have found that person only to realize that something still feels missing? How many have built relationships only to feel the weight of disappointment when the other person fails to meet their expectations? It is because no human being can carry the responsibility of making another person whole. No relationship, no friendship, no companionship will ever fill the emptiness of a heart that does not know how to find happiness from within. And what about material things? How many people have spent their lives working, climbing the ladder, believing that success will finally bring them peace? How many have reached the top only to feel more alone than ever? They buy the luxury cars, the dream homes, the finest clothes, and yet they wake up every morning with the same emptiness they have always felt. Because happiness was never in those things. It was never in the possessions, the status, the achievements. It was always in the perspective. Two people can walk the same path, experience the same struggles, and yet one will be full of gratitude while the other is drowning in misery. One will see beauty where the other sees despair. One will find joy in the simple things, laughter, love, a sunrise, while the other searches endlessly for something more. The difference is not in what they have, but in how they see what they have. Gratitude is the foundation of happiness. A man who appreciates a simple meal will always be richer than the man who resents his feast. A woman who treasures the love she has, rather than mourning the love she lost, will always carry joy in her heart. But those who spend their lives waiting for something more, something greater, something external to complete them, will forever remain prisoners of their own dissatisfaction. People lose themselves chasing things they were never meant to depend on. They hold on to relationships that drain them, fearing that without them they will never be happy. They buy things they don't need, trying to fill a void that only grows deeper. They reach for happiness in places where it cannot be found, only to come up empty every time. And then they wonder why they feel lost, why life feels hollow, why life feels hollow. It is because they are looking in the wrong places. True happiness is not about what you have, it is about what you see when you look at what you have. It is about finding joy in the small moments, the ordinary days, the simple blessings that so many overlook. It is about learning to appreciate rather than always wanting more. It is about recognizing that happiness is not something you wait for, it is something you choose, something you cultivate, something you create within yourself. But most people don't want to hear this. They want to believe that happiness is waiting for them somewhere in the future. hidden behind the next achievement, the next relationship, the next possession. They tell themselves, when I get there, I'll be happy. When I have this, I'll finally feel complete. But what they do not realize is that there never comes, because the mind that is always searching for more will never be satisfied with what it finds. A person who is unhappy with little will be unhappy with much. A person who cannot find joy in solitude will not find it in a crowded room. A person who cannot appreciate the life they have today will not appreciate the life they create tomorrow. Because happiness is not in the things, it is in the perspective. It is in the ability to see the beauty even in the brokenness. It is in the choice to embrace what is rather than mourn what isn't. And that choice is one that only you can make. No amount of love, no amount of wealth, no amount of success will ever do it for you. Because happiness is not something that comes from the outside, it is something that comes from within. No one is coming to save you. Your life is your responsibility. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, yet it is the foundation of true freedom. From the time we are young, we are taught to look to others for help, to believe that someone will always be there to pick us up when we fall, to make things right when life becomes too difficult. But the reality is, there will come a day when you will look around and there will be no one to rescue you, no one to take the pain away, no one to undo what has been done. And in that moment, you will have to make a choice. To remain where you are, waiting for someone to pull you out, or to rise up and take responsibility for your own life. Many people spend their lives waiting. They wait for the right person to come along and make them feel whole. They wait for the perfect opportunity to fall into their lap. They wait for circumstances to change, for luck to intervene, for something, anything, to make life easier. But waiting is a slow death. It is a prison of your own making, built with excuses and locked with fear. Because the truth is, no one is going to do it for you. No one is going to build your dream. No one is going to heal your wounds. No one is going to fix your life. That is your job, and yours alone. People will let you down. Friends will walk away. Family will disappoint you. Even those who love you the most cannot carry your burdens for you. They may support you for a while. They may offer guidance. They may even hold your hand in the darkest moments. But they cannot live your life for you. They cannot make your choices. They cannot change your mindset. They cannot fight your battles. That is something only you can do. And yet so many choose to remain helpless. They blame their parents, their past, their circumstances. They tell themselves that they cannot move forward because of what has been done to them. They live as victims of their own lives, trapped in a cycle of self-pity and resentment. But the world does not stop for those who choose to remain broken. Life moves forward, whether you choose to rise or not. And every day you spend waiting for someone to save you is another day wasted. There is power in taking responsibility. There is power in standing up and saying, "This is my life, and I will not wait for someone else to fix it." The moment you stop expecting others to save you is the moment you take back control. Because when you realize that no one is coming, you stop wasting time. You stop making excuses. You stop depending on things outside of yourself, and you start doing what needs to be done. No matter where you are in life, no matter what has happened to you, no matter how unfair it may seem, the responsibility is still yours. You may have been hurt, but it is your responsibility to heal. You may have been abandoned, but it is your responsibility to stand back up. You may have been given the worst circumstances imaginable, but it is your responsibility to rise above them, because no one else can do it for you. No one else can make that decision. No one else can walk that path. There are people who have faced unimaginable pain, who have been broken in ways most cannot understand, and yet they have risen, not because someone saved them, but because they saved themselves. They refuse to let their past dictate their future. They refuse to remain victims of their circumstances. They refuse to wait for life to be fair. And in doing so, they found a strength that no one could take away from them. The world does not owe you anything. No one is required to make your life easier. No one is responsible for your happiness, your success, your growth. That is your job. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you will find freedom. Because as long as you are waiting for someone else to fix your life, you will remain powerless. But the moment you decide to take full responsibility, everything changes. The pain you feel, the struggles you face, the obstacles in your path, they are yours to overcome. And the only way you will ever move forward is by understanding that no one else is responsible for your life but you. Pain is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. From the moment we take our first breath, we are conditioned to avoid pain. We are taught that pain is something to be feared, something to run from, something that must be eliminated at all costs. We build our lives around comfort, around security, around the desperate attempt to shield ourselves from anything that might hurt. But in doing so, we rob ourselves of the very thing that has the power to shape us into who we were meant to be. Pain is not the enemy. It is the fire that forges strength. It is the chisel that carves depth into the soul. It is the storm that washes away the weak, leaving behind only what is unbreakable. Those who try to run from pain, to numb it, to pretend it does not exist, are the ones who remain stagnant, trapped in a life that never grows, never deepens, never evolves. But those who embrace pain, who lean into it, who allow it to do its work, are the ones who emerge stronger, wiser, and more unshakable than ever before. Look at history. Look at the people who have changed the world. They did not live lives free of suffering. They were not spared from heartbreak, loss, betrayal, and hardship. In fact, it was their pain that made them who they were. It was the nights spent crying, the moments of despair, the seasons of loneliness and failure that built them. They did not become strong in spite of their pain. They became strong because of it. Pain is a teacher, but only for those willing to listen. Every hardship carries a lesson. Every struggle contains wisdom. Every wound has the power to open your eyes to something you never saw before. But most people never learn. They experience pain and immediately try to escape it. They drown it in distractions, in addictions, in denial. They refuse to sit with it, to ask what it has to teach them, to allow it to refine them. And so they remain weak, repeating the same mistakes, stuck in the same cycles, never growing beyond the level of pain they refuse to face. Pain is unavoidable. No matter how carefully you build your life, no matter how much you try to protect yourself, it will come. People will betray you. You will lose things you love. You will fail. You will suffer. But the question is not whether you will experience pain. The question is what you will do with it. Will you let it destroy you, or will you let it transform you? Pain has the power to make you bitter, or it has the power to make you better. It can turn you into someone hardened, cynical, closed off from the world, or it can turn you into someone stronger, wiser, more compassionate, more resilient. The difference is in how you choose to see it. Those who see pain as a curse will always live as victims, but those who see it as a teacher will rise from it, unbreakable. There are things that only pain can teach you. You do not learn strength from comfort. You do not learn wisdom from ease. You do not grow when everything is perfect. You grow when you are tested. You grow when you are broken and forced to rebuild. You grow when you are thrown into the fire and refuse to let it consume you. The greatest lessons of life are not learned in moments of joy, but in moments of suffering. It is pain that teaches you who you really are. It strips away the illusion, the ego, the things you once thought mattered. It humbles you, brings you to your knees, forces you to see yourself in a way you never did before. And if you let it, it will show you a strength you never knew you had. People fear pain because they do not understand it. They see it as punishment, as something unfair, as proof that life is against them. But pain is not here to destroy you. It is here to refine you. It is here to show you what you are made of. It is here to strip away everything that is weak, everything that is false, everything that does not belong to the person you are meant to become. Pain is the fire that tests the gold. It burns away the impurities, leaving behind only what is pure, only what is real. And that is why the strongest people are the ones who have suffered the most. Not because they were spared from pain, but because they allowed it to make them stronger instead of weaker. The choice is yours. You can fear pain, resist it, spend your life running from it, or you can face it, learn from it, allow it to do its work. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it build you. You can let it harden you, or you can let it open your heart. Pain will come, whether you are ready or not. But what it makes of you, that is up to you. You will never be in control of everything, but you are always in control of how you respond. This is one of the most difficult truths to accept, yet it is the key to peace, strength, and resilience. People spend their lives trying to control everything around them. Circumstances, people, outcomes, believing that if they can just get everything to go their way, they will finally feel secure. But no matter how much effort is spent trying to manipulate the world, life will always remain unpredictable. Things will not always go according to plan. People will not always act the way you want them to. Situations will arise that you never expected, and in those moments you will realize just how little control you truly have. But what most people fail to see is that peace is not found in controlling everything. It is found in surrendering to what cannot be controlled while taking full responsibility for what can. There will always be things beyond your power. You cannot control the weather, the economy, the actions of others, or the tragedies that may strike. But you can always control yourself, your mindset, your attitude, your reactions. And that is where true power lies. Most people waste their energy fighting against what they cannot change. They spend their lives frustrated, angry, bitter, wishing things were different, cursing the unfairness of it all, refusing to accept what is. They allow external circumstances to dictate their emotions, their peace, their sense of self-worth. If something goes wrong, they crumble. If someone betrays them, they fall apart. If life does not go according to plan, they spiral into hopelessness. But those who understand this truth operate differently. They do not waste time trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they focus all their energy on what is within their power, their own actions, their own thoughts, their own choices. There are people who have endured unthinkable hardship, who have lost everything, who have faced betrayal, loss, and devastation beyond comprehension. And yet, they remain unshaken, not because their circumstances are easy, but because they refuse to let those circumstances dictate who they are. They understand that no matter what happens, they still have a choice to rise instead of fall, a choice to grow instead of shrink, a choice to see opportunity instead of tragedy. But the truth is, most people do not make that choice. They let life happen to them instead of taking control of how they respond. They let their emotions rule them, reacting impulsively, lashing out, drowning in self-pity and resentment. They let one bad event ruin their entire day, one betrayal destroy their entire trust in people, one failure convince them that they are not capable. They give their power away to the external world, believing that their happiness, their peace, their worth is something that must be granted to them by others or by fate. But those who live with true strength know that nothing outside of them holds that power. They understand that while they cannot control what happens, they can always control what they do next. They refuse to be victims of their circumstances. They refuse to allow a single moment of pain to define the rest of their lives. They refuse to let anger, fear, and frustration dictate their actions. Instead, they pause, they reflect, and they make a choice. Not a choice based on impulse, but a choice based on who they want to become. This is not easy. It is far easier to react in the moment, to let emotions take over, to act out of pain, anger, or fear. But every reaction is a decision. Every time you let circumstances dictate your emotions, you are making a choice to give your power away. Every time you let someone else's words or actions ruin your peace, you are allowing them to control you. Every time you let an obstacle make you feel helpless, you are choosing to see yourself as weak. But the reality is, no one and nothing has power over you unless you give it to them. You will be tested. Life will put you in situations where everything in you wants to lash out, to blame, to sink into despair. But in those moments, you must remember that your response is always within your control. You can choose to be calm when the world is in chaos. You can choose to remain strong when everything is falling apart. You can choose to see solutions instead of problems, opportunities instead of obstacles. You can choose to rise above instead of sink below. There will always be things you cannot change. People will hurt you. Plans will fail. Life will throw the unexpected at you. But no matter what happens, you always have a choice in how you respond. And that choice will define the course of your life more than any external circumstance ever could.